Long before history was written in stone, before the pyramids rose to command the horizon of the Nile, and before mortal kings claimed divine authority, the fate of Egypt was shaped by a war among the gods themselves. In an age when chaos and order battled for dominance over the world, a child was born beneath the open sky, destined not merely to rule, but to fight for the very balance of existence. His name was Horus, the Falcon God, whose piercing eyes saw farther than any other, and whose wings carried the will of the heavens. He was the son of Osiris, the rightful king who was betrayed and murdered, and the heir to a throne stolen by darkness. From the moment of his birth, Horus was marked by destiny, raised in secrecy and danger, while the shadow of his father's killer stretched across the land. As he grew, so did the ancient conflict between order and chaos, embodied in the eternal struggle against Set, the god of storms and destruction. Horus did not rise as a god of peace or mercy, but as a warrior shaped by loss, vengeance, and divine duty. His story is not simply the tale of a god ascending to power, but of a cosmic battle that decided who would rule the skies, who would command the earth, and whether justice itself would survive. This is the legend of Horus, the warrior of the sky, whose fight for the throne would define the meaning of kingship for all of ancient Egypt. Osiris was not merely a king among gods. He was the embodiment of order, fertility, and divine law, ruling Egypt in an age when the land flourished under balance and justice. Crops grew in abundance, the Nile followed its sacred rhythm, and humans lived in harmony with the gods, all under the reign of Osiris, the rightful lord of the throne. But where order thrives, envy is never far behind, and in the shadows watched Set, god of storms, deserts, and chaos, whose heart burned with resentment toward his brother's power. Set did not challenge Osiris openly, for he knew that strength alone could not defeat order itself. Instead, he chose deception, weaving a plot born of jealousy and ambition. At a grand feast, Set presented a beautifully crafted chest, promising it to whoever fit perfectly within it, knowing all along it had been measured for Osiris alone. When the king lay inside, trusting and unaware, the trap was sprung. The lid was sealed, molten lead poured shut, and Osiris was cast into the waters, silenced by betrayal rather than battle. With his death, balance shattered. The throne was stolen, chaos spread across the land, and Set claimed dominion through fear and violence. Egypt itself seemed to mourn, as harmony gave way to disorder and darkness crept into the world. Yet Osiris's death was not the end of his influence, but the spark that ignited a far greater conflict, one that would demand vengeance, sacrifice, and the rise of a warrior born to challenge chaos itself. When Osiris fell into silence, it was Isis who refused to accept a world ruled by chaos. Not only a queen, but the greatest sorceress among the gods, Isis set out across Egypt and beyond, driven by devotion stronger than death itself. She followed whispers carried by the wind, cries hidden in reeds, and the mourning of the land, until she discovered the body of Osiris, broken yet still sacred. But Set's hatred had not ended with murder. Fearing resurrection, he tore Osiris into pieces and scattered them across the land, believing that no god, no magic, could restore what had been destroyed. Yet Isis gathered every fragment she could find, guided by ancient spells older than the gods themselves. Through sacred rituals, she wrapped the remains, shaping the first mummy, breathing magic into stillness and order into death. For a single forbidden moment, Osiris returned, not to rule the living, but to pass on a legacy. From this union, defying nature and fate, Horus was conceived, a child born not of peace, but of injustice. Knowing Set would destroy the child if he learned the truth, Isis vanished into the marshes of the Nile, hiding Horus among reeds and shadows. There, surrounded by danger, illness, and venomous creatures, she protected him with spells of healing and transformation, raising him in secrecy as the world waited unknowingly for the Avenger who would challenge the throne of chaos. As Horus grew, the marshes could no longer contain his destiny. Trained in silence and hardship, he became the embodiment of the sky itself, sharp-eyed, unyielding, and bound by the duty of vengeance. When the time came, Horus emerged from hiding to challenge Set, the god of chaos, storms, and usurpation, igniting a conflict that would shake the divine order for generations. Their battles were not brief clashes, but prolonged wars fought across desert, river, and sky, each confrontation testing strength, endurance, and legitimacy. Set fought with raw fury, wielding violence and disorder, while Horus fought with purpose, balance, and the unbroken will of his father. In one brutal encounter, Set tore out Horus's left eye, shattering it as a symbol of broken order, yet the gods did not allow chaos to claim victory. Through divine intervention, most often attributed to Thoth, god of wisdom, the Eye of Horus was restored, not merely healed, but transformed into a sacred symbol of wholeness, protection, and cosmic balance. With his vision restored and his resolve unbroken, Horus continued the war, not only to defeat Set, but to prove himself worthy of kingship. Every strike, every sacrifice, carried the weight of Osiris's legacy and Isis's sacrifice, until the conflict ceased to be about revenge alone and became a trial of justice, order, and the future of Egypt itself. In the end, the war between Horus and Set was not decided by brute strength alone, but by judgment. The gods gathered, weighing chaos against order, ambition against rightful rule, and bloodshed against balance. Before the divine tribunal, Horus stood not merely as a son seeking vengeance, but as the living embodiment of Ma'at, the sacred principle of truth, harmony, and cosmic law. When the verdict was given, Set was stripped of the throne he had seized through treachery, and Horus was crowned king of Egypt, uniting sky and land under rightful rule. Yet his victory did not erase suffering. It transformed it into meaning. Through Horus, Osiris lived on as lord of the underworld, Isis as the eternal force of magic and devotion, and Egypt itself as a kingdom sustained by balance between life and death. From that moment forward, every pharaoh was believed to rule as Horus incarnate, watched over by Osiris in death, bound forever to the cycle of order, loss, and renewal. And so the story of Horus teaches that true power is not born from domination, but from legitimacy, sacrifice, and the courage to restore order where chaos once reigned, just as the falcon still watches from the sky, guarding the world below.